Welcome back to the Cyborg Circus, where last time Gwen and Rora meet up and wax on about how deep and meaningful their love totally is. Yes, it is, don't ask questions. Gwen makes Rora a new hand without needing to be asked, with parts that came from her ass and expertise that also came from nowhere. Our team of quote-unquote heroes meet up to make the next portion of their plan, which isn't to escape the games, but win them for some reason. Rora immediately blabs about their plan in front of the dangerous bullies who take her prisoner, and now she too is in a coma. We're back for more. Just had to clear out my memory card, and we're on to chapter 24. Gwen has woken up feeling bright and happy, and she decides to go visit her new girlfriend. But oh no, no one's answering at Rora's door. Accio appeared in the hallway. People always be appearing.
This is not the science lab.
Again, you don't need to tell us everything. She knocks on the door some more, and then she tries the doorknob, and it literally says, "It was unlocked. How strange." We don't need the how strange. We understand from the characters and from what we've gotten previously that that would seem odd, especially since we know that Rora always locks her door. Gwen, you sweet summer child. So it takes a minute for Gwen to see Rora, even though Rora is right there on the floor, just like laying there. And at first Gwen is like, did she fall down? She's just like, did Rora hit her head falling down? But what were those bruises on her neck? Gwen also screamed when she saw Rora on the floor like this was a horror movie. For some reason, she thinks that her tinkering killed Rora, even though she's bleeding from her head and has strangle marks on her neck. Does she think that Rora's hand went rogue and tried to kill her?
You do know you gave me an evil hand, right?
Accio was still hanging out, so she told Accio to go for the healer and also Bastian, for some reason. So the healer guy says that her implant is shutting down, which apparently means that she will die also. Kind of questionable, since lots of people live when Gwen removes their parts and presumably their implants as well. Apparently this is similar to what happened with Marzana, who's still been unconscious this whole time. We've basically forgotten about her. Her body is rejecting the implant? Why is that a thing that can happen so easily?
Happens all the time when you get strangled by some random dude.
Gwen did research one time, and now she's a fucking expert. So she opens up, like, the panel at the back of Rora's head or whatever. Like, she's an android.
Processing.
Everybody, I guess, has one. And she's looking at her implant. Gwen worked like she'd never worked before, using every ounce of knowledge she gleaned from her research in the library. She had like half an hour worth of research. At least lie to me and tell me that she's been doing more studying. She looked at stuff about a foot in a book in the library, and now she like is just a savant. She's a wizard. She's doing it. The bad guys left them a note that Bastian finds that's basically just like, she spilled the beans. Think carefully before you cross us. Why would they do that? Why like leave it somewhere in the room? Just like, why not leave it on her body? If you really want. Somebody might have missed the note completely and your evil cackling would have gone unknown. Now, knowing this book, knowing sort of the poorly written quality of this book, what would you say that the characters, what would you say the characters come up with after they read this note?
They are gonna decide 100% to not cheat in the upcoming competition.
They are going to come to the conclusion that Rora, the unconscious person with strangle marks on her neck, has betrayed them. And the bad guys left a fucking note!
I mean, I don't know. I played Among Us a lot. This seems legit. I think this is how people would read.
She was beaten into unconsciousness and now is clinging to life. She must have betrayed us. Why are we even having this conversation? There are tears in my eyes from how ridiculous this is.
Hey, at least the author is succeeding in soliciting an emotional response from their reader.
That's right. Oh, come on! Why are you people so stupid? If your plot relies on your characters being supremely stupid, you're doing it wrong. Because Gwen is like, no. Ignoring the blood on her forehead and the strangle marks on her throat, which we have clearly been told that she has seen. She's like, no,
Rora's having this problem because I messed up her implant, just like with Marzana, and that's why she's unconscious. It has nothing to do with the bullies who have been harassing us forever and would 100% beat her up.
Is it supposed to be stupid?
It's not stupid. It's advanced.
And then Bastian reveals the darker side of Rora. This is supposed to be her dark backstory, where we're supposed to be like, oh my gosh, we would be suspicious of her. No, her dark backstory is that she is so determined to join the circus that she cut her own hand off, so they would have to give her a cyborg hand. That's her dark backstory. That's it. Gwen is like, oh my gosh, Rora is lawful stupid. I never knew she'd do something like that, even though that fits completely with her personality, actually, if you think about it. The stretch that we are having to make to get this betrayal to work is just ridiculous. Now Gwen is like, I never knew Rora at all. That's why she didn't say she loved me. Because you two have known each other for like 2 weeks. She didn't say she loved you because she was planning to betray you, because she's the sort of person who would cut her hand off to join the Cyborg circus. Yes, that is completely logical, and everything makes sense about that train of thought. That's 3 different trains, Gwen. She runs out of the room crying full princess mode. She never loved me. I don't want to help these people. They don't want my help. People never wanted her to begin with. She had outstayed her welcome. Like, where are you getting these things? I have to flee. I can't stay here anymore. No one loves me. And she's just run off to, like, pack. Wow. That was a short chapter filled with more bullshit than this entire book so far. Before, this book was just kind of like almost pleasantly derpy, you might say. Like, it doesn't make a lot of sense, but like nothing offensive. But this is offensive to a reader. If to make your plot point work, you have to do something like this, you need to do a major rework of your plot. By the way, Giorgio is here, so hey. She heard my distress. She was like, I can tell Mom is real upset. I need to get over there. I don't want to turn the camera off because that means I have to lean across Giorgio. I can't believe there are some people who DNF'd this book before they got to this point. They were missing out. Holy moly. I'll see you next time. Hello, we are back for more Cyborg Tinkerer. I know I've been wearing the same thing for like the past 8 million chapters. Like, I'm looking back at like the little preview image for all of my footage, and it's all this sweater. But this is a really comfy sweater, and I come home from work and I just want to wear something comfy, so I throw it on and I wear it for like a few hours before I change into my pajamas. If it wasn't for the fact that I dyed my hair, you would have no proof that it's just not, I'm not all just filming this in one night. Work has been stressful, so I've been listening to my own read-alongs. Like, sometimes I do that when I'm like stressed out and I just want to chill. And I've been listening to The Savior's Champion, my very, very first one. And I will say one thing for this book so far. It doesn't linger. Now, all of its scenes are bonkers, and the plotting is all over the place. This one, if you're not enjoying a scene, you know that in about 2 seconds it's gonna be over. Just cruising right along. So, like, Meg, if you're watching this, and I know you aren't, the pacing of like the scenes is really good if you want to just like keep it moving. You just need to have scenes that make more sense.
Now, the problem that Meg's gonna run into and has run into with this mile-a-minute pacing is that you sacrifice the character relationships. Unfortunately, you kind of have to go slower if you want to have realistic character relationships. So she needs to sprinkle in some slower character building scenes in between all of this mile-a-minute bonkers, if she wants to have the kind of relationship that she's insisting the characters do have, but which we don't believe in because, again, she never shows it.
Also, I've just been like fascinated by just like trying to find Meg because she's disappeared off the internet. I feel like she was in a live stream a little while ago on someone else's channel, but I can't find it. Did she just literally get bullied off of the fucking internet for this book? And I know there's other factors, like a bunch of people were saying she bought reviews. I don't believe that, but you can believe what you want, whatever, it's rumors. I can fully believe that she had fans and friends that were willing to go give her book a bunch of 5 stars.
I did also hear that she had some kind of family, like, tragedy happen around the same time. I have no idea what that was, but that would be another reason to leave the internet. So there's factors, I understand that.
Anyway, I'm just fascinated by the fact that she's apparently not only left, but she's like gone. Fascinated and also a little bit dismayed. Like, I know that this is the internet's way, but do we have to do that? But I was looking at her website and she had like character bios, and I found out that apparently Rora is loosely based off of Aurora from Sleeping Beauty, which explains why she's too dumb to live. And she's just kind of like naive and wandering along. And also, she was just put into a deep sleep, so we're just cruising with our Sleeping Beauty thing right here.
Well, here's your precious princess.
Apparently Gwen is loosely based on Belle from Beauty and the Beast. I don't see it at all, but that might be because Gwen doesn't have a personality. And then Bastian is based off of Beast from Beauty and the Beast, which I also don't see, except for the fact that he works with animals, so kind of a beast angle, and he's a little bit growly sometimes. I guess maybe because he's got like so many cyborg parts, he's sort of like been transformed into a monster, but not really in this world. Alright, I think that's everything I wanted to preamble, because you know I always like to talk about stuff before I get into a chapter, so let's go ahead. Chapter 25, let's go. Yeah, Gwen has just straight up decided to leave. She's going to put her life, her implant, everything at risk because she thinks, stupidly, that her new girlfriend has betrayed them. There really are no words for the level of idiocy on display here. Apparently Gwen's room had a window. I didn't think it had a window. I thought she was like in the interior of the castle. But she has a window, and she has her skimmer, so she's just gonna fly out the window again. Honestly, I feel like the mistress maybe should have put some bars on her window. Gwen, how could Rora have used you to make her a new implant when you were working on that in secret just because you liked her? You think that Rora is that much of a, like, tactical genius that she subtly fooled you into making her a new hand? Because Gwen is like, oh, Rora doesn't need me. She was just using me to make her a new hand. And I'm like, none of that makes any sense. Think for 10 seconds, woman. So Gwen is flying over the city and it's getting dark. She could only hope the darkness would be enough to obscure her from the pedestrians on the street. Your skimmer has engines on it. We were told that they glow in a previous paragraph. Yeah, you're real subtle, Gwen. If you hear singing in the background, that is Giorgio. She is full-voiced and boisterous. Gwen is just like, she's just done an absolute 180 because Rora betrayed her. Cannot frame this shot to satisfy me. Anyway, so Gwen was always like, I have to save these cyborgs. They're my new family. I'm determined to save them. It is my one goal. Each character has basically one thing that they want, and only one thing. Well, okay, two. They want sex. But they have like one main goal. And hers was, now that I'm a cyborg, I have to save the other cyborgs. And just like the switch has flipped. There was nothing else she could do for the performers of Cirque du Bourg, not that they wanted her help anyway. Or is this because that one guy called you the Grim Reaper while you were literally carving parts off of him? Like, I would understand why the cyborgs of the circus might give Gwen the hairy eyeball, because she is the one who takes them apart when they lose. But we have not seen that. We have not seen her going into the dining hall and getting glares and stares and people giving her a wide berth. Because she doesn't interact with anyone except her love interest and occasionally Accio. I want to see her having made friends with these people and then them turning her away when she wants to sit with them, or turning around and walking the other direction when they see her coming down the hall, when before they would have greeted her. Like, there's nothing, there's no progression, it's just like, and I'm done. Sort of like in The Savior's Sister when Layla decides, no, I'm done, I'm going to take my money and leave, just so that she can go to her coffers and find them empty. We went from 0 to love very quickly, and also we went from love to she betrayed me equally as quickly. Her heart ached like a physical pain. It could just be a physical pain, it doesn't have to be like one. At the thought of the woman she thought she loved. Well, if you love her so much, then why don't you go and like deal with the situation? This was a weird sentence to read. As she walked towards the dock, several tavern wenches and wards stopped pouring buckets of stars knew what into the streets to stare at ... What an awkward sentence. It took me like 5 reads. Gwen is wearing both a long sleeve tunic and a leather jacket, but she's mad that she didn't think of wearing a hooded cloak. What is our aesthetic? Also, she only now thinks about hiding her cyborg eye. Like, I thought she wasn't hiding it because this is a cyborg covered planet and everybody's just used to cyborgs around here, and so the fact that she had a very obvious cyborg part wasn't going to faze anyone. But then she like realizes, oh shit, it might faze someone. She's trying to get a job aboard a ship, but they're all like, no, we're not hiring cyborgs at this time. I'm like, well, why? It's a cyborg planet. But I guess there's a big difference between bringing supplies and selling stuff to a cyborg planet than there is to, like, having a cyborg crew member who's, like, very obviously a cyborg. Maybe if you got a really big eye patch, Gwen. Now we just have slavery randomly thrown in. I guess. Like, she comes across a fucking slave ship out of nowhere. She also keeps calling it the flesh trader vessel. Like, not the slave ship, the flesh trader vessel. They're flesh traders, which is... this. She calls them slavers also. So it's the same thing. But people from that ship have seen her and are calling out to her specifically. And she's like, shoot, I don't want to be on the slave ship, obviously. And of course they're gonna, like, come after her, because why wouldn't they? And they're like, hey, are you here to drop off more of Miss Beckett's cargo? Do they call her Miss? Yes, Miss Beckett's cargo. And she's like, what did the mistress have to do with flesh traders? I don't know, Gwen. Maybe she's fucking evil. I've heard that there's a twist at the end of this book. It better be more than, surprise, the mistress is evil. I'm hoping that it turns out that either Rora is like long lost royalty and she's forgotten. She's like the emperor's daughter or something, so when she goes to perform, he'll be like, my long-lost daughter. Or she's trying to assassinate him. One of those two, please. I don't give a fuck about Gwen and what she's doing. For a main character, Gwen has the least personality of any of them. Why do you think this, Gwen? So the guys are, like, eyeing her up and being crude, you know, like, a lot of men don't like their women, like, damaged like you, but somebody'll like you. And Gwen is just, like, flabbergasted. Had the mistress sold the performers to the flesh traders? No, there was no way. Why not, Gwen? Why would not this woman who is having you carve up people without anesthetic, like, why wouldn't she then sell them onto slavery? These characters. Oh boy. I've said it before and I'll say it again. If for your story to work, your characters have to be stupid, you need to rework your story. Now, I'm not talking about characters making mistakes or occasional bad choices. That's fine. But if your character has to be no thoughts, head empty at all times for your story to work, there's a major flaw. More men are coming out of the slave ship, and they're just, like, surrounding her. And she's like, should I go for my skimmer? I don't care what happens to Gwen, but now they're just going to attack her. Now, I'm not saying that we have to like the slave traders. Obviously. But do they have to be so cliched? Do they have to be like, hey, we found someone walking on the docks so we're going to attack her? There's just more and more of these flesh traders just pouring out of their ship because there's a ruckus happening. But no one else. There's 4 ships at this dock, 2 of which Gwen has already talked to, and no one's even, like, coming to see what's happening. Are they just, like, looking out the window and being like, oh, the slavers are attacking a random pedestrian again? Why do we let those guys dock here? Gwen is also, like, suddenly she knows kung fu.
I know kung fu.
Because she is fighting really well. And also there are different types of fighting that you could get good with. Is she better with a weapon? Is she better with her bare hands? Is she better with a gun? Being good at fighting doesn't really cover your bases when it comes to actually watching your character in a fight. We need to know how they fight, how they're best at fighting, what they're bad at in a fight. Apparently their guns, or her pistol, is only good for a single shot, so she has a cyborg eye, but her gun only has 1 bullet. Please stop calling them flesh traders. She didn't stand a chance against this many experienced flesh traders. It's just so awkward to say. I don't like reading it. But also, the sailors closed in, their steps perfectly timed, and all I could think about is that they're closing in on her like they're about to rumble. The captain of the slave ship is a woman, so we have the classic, like a whole bunch of gruff, crabby dudes, and then like one probably super hot lady in charge of them. Meg struggles a little bit with like sentence structure for readability. Like I'm not a grammar expert. I'm not talking about like, oh, you can't use this word to begin a sentence, whatever, throw that stuff out. I'm talking about ease of reading, flow of sentences, what is going to make your story most engaging for the eyes of your reader, most easy for their brain to process. Before the men could haul Gwen onto the ship, a roar sounded from the docks. A gun was shot off into the air, and the docks rumbled. Those are all, they just read awkwardly. A roar, oh, what could it be? A gun, she's chopped it up and drawn it out when it could just be like one or two good sentences. Of course it's Bastian, no one is surprised. What a random thing. So Bastian is just like strutting in here, but he's positioned himself out of reach of the sailors' swords, though he was still within easy firing range of a gun, or the ship's cannons. Is it likely that the ship is going to open fire towards the dock to kill one guy? They're like, what does she perform? And he's like, she's a singer. Because, circuses are renowned for their singing acts. What the fuck are you on, Bastian? Gwen is seriously considering letting these people take her hostage rather than going back to the circus. That's how much she's decided that she's done. She would rather be sold into sex slavery than go back to the circus. Bastian tries to talk her out of it. The captain's like, no, we're taking her, and a firefight ensues. I think you mean darndest, Meg. Who did their dandiest to drag her up the gangway. I think you mean did their darndest to drag her up. Or maybe damnedest, but not dandiest. We've got slammed multiple times in very close proximity. She slammed her booted heel into his foot. Next sentence, she slammed her elbow into his teeth. There's water. Oh, I didn't know I was picturing water. I guess the spaceships land in water and then dock there? Got another slammed. Knife slammed into his chest. That's the next paragraph from those previous two slammed. We've got a whole action scene happening here, and again, Meg is just not very good at it. I'm not going to elaborate much because I've already said it before. She has not improved, though, in the space of this book. Another weird word. What the heck? The dingbat had a rapier with him, of all weapons. The dingbat? You've heard me complain about this before. Walking forward, in this case, running forward. Forward is unnecessary unless your character is going to go in an unexpected direction. It would be far more helpful if we said running towards Bastian, running towards the ships. Like, give us a direction. We don't know which way Gwen is even facing, so don't just say running forward. They think they've won for a split second, but then, oh no, Bastian has to knock her aside. So that he can get shot in the neck, which is a part of him that we're pretty sure is not metal. So he needs his neck to live. Gwen thinks it might be his shoulder that was shot, but like, how do you mistake a neck for a shoulder? He's clutching his neck and blood is spurting everywhere. So I don't think it's his shoulder. Shot in the neck is pretty intense and dire and like, oh man, shot in the shoulder. Doesn't he have a metal shoulder? And is he just standing there, like, holding his neck? Because Gwen is now, like, ducking and weaving and bobbing and rolling and firing back and everything. Is Bastian just standing there? What is he doing? Kneeling there? Like, what position is he in? Where is he? Is he in danger of being shot again? Help me out. I'm a very, very visual reader and writer. So like when I write, a literal movie is playing out in my head. It is so visual. So all I really have to do is describe on the page what I'm seeing. And I don't think Meg is quite as visual. Like she might be, I don't know if you've ever seen those charts that are like picture an apple. She might be like a couple steps down from where I am, where she can kind of picture the apple, but just very indistinctly. Whereas I can see perfect apple, the field it's in, I can feel the breeze. Like that's how deep my imagination goes when I'm reading or writing. So I think Meg might benefit in her action scenes from physically laying them out. Get a chessboard, get some Legos, place your characters in space so that you can see them, so that when you're describing the fight scene, you're playing it out so that you know what to describe. Similar to me just describing the scene I see in my head, you can describe whatever you're having the Legos do. Because a big problem that she has is I don't know where any of her characters are in relation to each other. It's all just sort of a blur. Like, I can kind of get an idea, but I don't know who's moving, where they're moving, what's going on, where's Bastian, who is even firing at Gwen. She seems to know where the bullets are coming from, but I don't. Apparently it was the captain shooting at Gwen, and then Gwen finally shot her, and she toppled off the gangway into the water that I just found out was there. Again, where's anybody positioned? So she just shot... She's clearly looking at the ships which are on the water, and she just shot the captain. Then she hears Bastian behind her, so she turns around and runs toward him. But then the book says she caught him before he fell into the water, but he wouldn't be near the water because if she turned around, her back is now to the water, running towards him. He's not near the water. Figure out where your characters are placed in space, especially for action scenes. Also, still nobody else has come to... There's a full-fledged gunfight happening, people are dying, and no one from the town, no one from the other ships. I know there's no law enforcement here, but, like, nobody is gonna investigate this shit. So Gwen is, like, bantering with Bastian as she's, like, trying to sort him out. The good news is the shot missed your head and didn't hit your heart. Yes, but it hit his neck. There are important things in your neck. Like, lots of them, very concentrated, close together. She says again that it is his neck. She felt the wound at his neck. This is not better, Gwen. Also, she's not trying to bandage it. She's not trying to stop the bleeding. She just, like, puts his arm over her shoulder to, like, take him away. But Bastian is like, don't worry about me. Go save the slaves, because I'm pretty sure they're the former performers. That's hard to say. And of course, I mean, yeah, the slavers basically said that. I'm guessing Bastian didn't know about that until right the fuck now when he also guessed, or did he overhear? I'm not sure. Gwen says he needs immediate medical attention. That's nice, honey. Maybe you should give him some. Like, I don't know. Hold something to his neck so he doesn't bleed to death? That's crazy, I know. She tries to tourniquet his neck and just strangles him to death instead. I wouldn't put it past this girl. She thinks that there are probably still flesh traders on the ship. I don't know how. There could be, because, like, it seemed like the entire fucking crew came pouring out to get shot by her and Bastian. And, like, if they are still in there, why didn't they come out? Gwen is, like, being very introspective all of a sudden and just, like, really puzzling over everything. At a time where we need a quick decision of some kind, she's just like, if I do this, then that will probably happen. But if I don't do this, it's like, bitch, we ain't got time. She decides, heroically, not to save the slaves in the ship, in case there might be more bad guys in the ship. And instead, she's gonna save her boyfriend. She says she's gonna come back for the slaves, but I don't know how there'd be any less bad guys on the ship then. And you can prevent Bastian bleeding to death if you just bandage him. She did take the time to kick all of the corpses into the water. We don't know how many there are, but it seemed like a fucking lot. So she can't go on board the ship and try to save these people, but she can take the time to kick a bunch of corpses into the bay. Again, no one is noticing this. It seemed like we were going in a whole other direction there for a minute, and it would have been a pretty exciting direction, because Gwen was like, I can pilot a ship. So if she and Bastian limped his happy ass onto the ship, and maybe she left him on the dock somewhere, she could probably take his guns and take out whatever sailors, 5 or 6 sailors are left on this ship after they massacred the crew. Or she could be like, hey, I killed your captain, I'm your captain now. And also, blam, I'll shoot anybody who disobeys me. Like, there's options for her. And then she and Bastian sail away on their new spaceship, or sail somewhere to try to save the day, or whatever. Or they sail away, but he convinces her to go back. You know, something. And there's probably a healer on board the ship, because most ships would have a physician. So, and probably the physician didn't come to get shot. Maybe he did. Who knows?
Or Or, if you don't want Gwen to go with the slaves, she could get on the ship, shoot the last 5 members of the crew, free the slaves, and let them sail off on the ship. A few of them probably know how to fly ships, or she could give them a quick crash course while one of them holds a bandage to Bastian's neck. Like, there were so many options, and Meg chose the one that makes Gwen look the worst.
But that's it for that chapter. Are we still with Gwen? Yeah, because Rora is in a death-like sleep from which true love's kiss will probably wake her. But I'm gonna probably just stop the camera and then come back and read the next chapter because I got nothing else going on tonight. So let's go. I'll see you for the next chapter whenever that happens for you.
When you marooned me on that godforsaken spit of land, you forgot one very important thing, mate.
You forgot my patrons. Rita, Deborah, Alexandra, My 96, Afra, Melissa, AC, Swamp Goblin Waifu, Sophia, Marween, Kit, Hidden Glade, Light Julie, Belle, and Sophie, Ray, Shelby, Zaire, Jesper, Irene, Scribbling Cat, Savvy, Jenny, Amanda, Lisa, Sarah, and Lennox.